Hi, welcome back to FoxBusiness.com Live. This will probably be my last show because I just spilled coffee on the floor in the O'Reilly studio.
You are my best friend for doing that. I love you for doing that. But you spilled it on you.
This has been a wonderful career for me.
You got it on your clothes, too, which I feel
but
bad for.
It really is irrelevant at this point, right? It's really irrelevant. It's on the floor. I'm done. It's been a pleasure. But thankfully, before I go, I get to see my friend Jordan Zimmerman. Jordan, this will be my last show, so make it a good hit here. Jordan,
hey,
God
Tracy.
love him, brand strategist. Jordan is marketeer extraordinaire. Some of his clients include Models, Party City, but Nissan being one of them. Jordan just wrote a piece for Ad Age about Toyota and where Toyota is right now. So your piece was a couple days ago before we knew what was going on. Now that we know what's going on, what are they doing, Jordan? Are they doing the right thing?
You know, we all saw, or many of us saw Jim, their COO, yesterday on television. And I was really surprised by some of his answers. I don't think they're doing enough. You know, basically what they should have done was they should have reached out for two, for their dealer base and also the consumers. And what he should have said immediately was, whoever is driving a Toyota, I want to thank you, but pull your car over. Leave it in your garage, leave it in your driveway, rent a car, we will pick up the tab. And B, make sure that you call your local dealer and have your dealer tow that car in at our cost. Everything will be at our cost. Again, be a solution to this. Don't be in denial about the problem that you have, and make sure you protect everybody.
Hey, Jordan, is part of the problem here the fact that you have sort of a two-pronged marketing approach? You have the corporate level, and you also have the dealership level, and it's more difficult to coordinate between the two when you have to have a solid front in terms of a PR campaign?
You know, I think that it takes a bigger step up, and I think Toyota Motor Company of America really has to take the lead here for the dealers. And I also think the dealers aren't going to go out there and put this at risk. I think they need extra mechanics that are going to be back there helping to install the parts to make sure this unintended acceleration is fixed, and also the floor mat is fixed. There's two different recalls going on. Unintended acceleration affects 2.3 million cars. You know, that's an incredible amount of vehicles, and I think we have to look at that and say there's another 5.2 million cars that are affected through floor mats. So when you look at it, there's 150,000 cars that are sitting in dealer inventory that can't be sold because it affects 8 of their top-selling vehicles. This is a catastrophe in Toyota. They have to get their arms around it, fix it. Remember, their brand has been built on dependability and reliability. Are they losing the trust? I read a report this morning. It said they could lose 1% market share instantaneously. That's 130,000 cars just this year. And for every point after that, it's another 130,000 cars.
Right, which brings me to the point I made earlier was, what would incentivize me to come back to Toyota? You know, this whole thing, everyone's comparing it to the Firestone Ford Expedition issue, right? But they pushed that off onto Firestone. Toyota has no one to blame here but themselves for this. So, can they get out of this?
Well, I think they do. I think what they're trying to point the finger at is that if you look at the people that produce the products today, what has happened to the auto industry, it's been so convoluted and pushed down to price that we're going to secondary and tertiary manufacturers to get our parts from. And what they're going to do is they're going to push it down and say they built a faulty pedal. It isn't about them. You know, we've known, or they've known about this problem for 10 years. There's been 19 deaths that are associated with this. What we need to be able to do is they need to step up, and they need to take responsibility, and they need to protect the consumers and their children to make sure that there's no more accidents, and Toyota looks like a hero here, not a zero.
Jordan, what did Tylenol, essentially Johnson & Johnson, I should say, what did they do after the Tylenol murders in the early 80s to bounce back? Because they went from a 35% market share to an 8% market share, and then they got it almost all back within a year. What lessons can be learned from what they were able to do that other brands need to be able to do?
Well, if you look at what they did, remember this, they pulled everything off the shelf immediately. Toyota, you know, the gentleman yesterday on television, Jim, said, you know, I'm driving a Toyota, my family's driving a Toyota, my neighbors are driving a Toyota. He should have said, look, I took my car, I put it into the shop just like you. And I want every one of you to take your cars, put it in the shop. Just like they did when they pulled the Tylenol off of the shelves and said, you know what, don't take those products, they're dangerous, and we want to make sure we restock those shelves with something that's safe for you and your family.
Jordan, and you know what? We got to wrap, but you make a great point because we heard one of our reporters, Jeff Flock, out at a dealership yesterday saying that the dealer specifically was going to put their people into rentals. It's not a nationwide campaign yet that we're hearing out of Toyota, and that probably would have made a huge difference to people if they immediately said something like that. Jordan Zimmerman, thank you so much for being with us, and you are, of course,
thank you, guys,
in a way warmer climate. He's in Florida. We are not.
Great spot.
Founder and chairman of Zimmerman Advertising. Thanks so much for being with us, Jordan.
Thank you, Tracy.